There was this research study done on metabolism, and it was done in 6,241 participants, 64% of whom were female. It was done in individuals from the ages of 8 to 95, and what they were doing was looking at metabolism. What they really wanted to determine is, how does metabolism change throughout the lifespan, and does it actually decrease like we thought it did? What are the intricacies that we see? Now, keep in mind that the participants of this study maintained a pretty similar lean mass throughout their adult life. So without big lean mass changes, that tells us that these individuals likely weren't experiencing an eating disorder or chronic fad dieting or something that would severely restrict their calories, resulting in a lower lean mass. The conclusions of this study found that your metabolism is the highest at birth to age 1, which makes sense. You're doing a lot of growing in that time period. From age 1 to 20, it still stays pretty high, but we start to see some valleys. We start to see it leveling out. It's definitely not as high as it was in that first year of life. But then at age 20 and a half, it really starts to plateau out into what they're referring to as adult levels. And then here's the interesting part. From age 20 to 60, metabolism remained pretty much unchanged. After the age of 60, specifically at age 63, is really when they started to notice any decline. But what's interesting about this decline, and why it kind of goes against what we're used to hearing or thinking, is that it was only by 0.7% every year. So to put that in perspective, let's say you had a resting metabolic rate of about 1850 for a good majority of your adult life. 0.7% of that is about 12 calories. So 12 calories a year, honestly, is not significant. It would take about a decade, if not a little bit more, for that to really have any significant impacts on your metabolism. What's also interesting is that this very small decline was correlated to the small decline in lean mass that we tend to see in older individuals. What we don't know, though, and I'm digressing a little bit from the study here, is if you didn't see as much of a decline, some of it you just can't prevent, it happens with age, but let's say you're like really hitting the gym and you're not losing as much lean mass, does that mean your metabolism isn't dropping at all, or it's only dropping 0.4%? Again, that's just my thought, but that's a question I have. Back to the research part of things and not just my random question. We see here, again, it would take about a decade to see any significant decrease in metabolism. And that's also what they found in the research study, is that at about the age of 90 and the years above that, there was a significant change in metabolic rate by about 26% compared to middle-aged adults. So again, this conclusion is really interesting because we're not seeing a consistent decrease in metabolism. Let's say like you hit the age 30 and then every year after it starts to decline. It only starts to decline at around age 63 and by a very, very small percentage. And really the only significant change in metabolic rate was at the age of 90 and the few years after. So when people express that they feel like their metabolism has dropped, or they know there's a big change because things aren't the same as they were when they were 20 or 30 or even 40, we have to think that that's likely due to NEAT. NEAT meaning non-exercise activity thermogenesis. What that is all of your activities of daily living, things you just get up and do, moving around. It is not intentional exercise. And likely that decreases, especially after the age of 60, due to different things like moving to a smaller house or retiring or no longer having young kids around that you're chasing around, or even just not walking as much or getting out as much. Maybe you no longer have pets in the house, or maybe you have smaller pets in the house. Like, all of these things are just examples that are coming to me off the top of my head, but so many life changes that would result in that decrease in just your activities of daily living and all of the stuff that you're doing in a day, therefore burning less calories. This information is not meant to be discouraging in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it should be really positive that if you're fueling your body well and maintaining a pretty average lean mass throughout your life, that your resting metabolic rate should stay pretty much unchanged. What I want you to take away from this is don't fad diet, like I always say. Don't severely restrict your calories, because those are the things that are going to impact your lean mass and cause a decrease in your resting metabolic rate. Guys, don't forget to comment your questions in here because I will answer those in future videos. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm so glad that you're here.